if you're self-producing, it's the only way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I even when I did it, I used to turn the screen to this way so I could see that it was recording. But you have all these boards.
Yeah, this one I felt like I had to get. It's way over the top. I could have gone and got a $100 Scarlett interface and just plugged 2 mics into it. But then one of my friends who's a podcaster too.
What are you doing?
It's my better back because I'm old and broken.
Bro, I was like, don't put the knee pads on. I'm like, I don't
What
know.
is this guy do? He said I was coming over for a podcast.
Bro, this is,
I've been here 5 minutes and already being assaulted. No, there's a pillow on the bed.
I see the contraption now.
It's very comfortable. It's a lifesaver. If they should pay me a royalty for honestly how many people have probably bought one because they see me preaching this thing. It's so damn comfortable.
I believe it. Whatever.
Whatever I say, right?
Yeah, I know.
Take my word
I
for
mean,
it.
Jesus Christ. I don't care
If it's
how
making
helpful
you
that is.
uncomfortable, I can take it off, but I've been sitting all day, brother. Like
Dude,
I'm about to sit for another hour and a half.
Yeah,
I need my better back.
Yeah, better back for when your friends aren't mean to you. Do you have good friends who won't trash you for looking like you're about to get railed front ways? Better back. Jesus Christ. The knee pads, it's got cushioned knee pads for when you're getting railed in the back. Better back. Jesus Christ. Okay. It's fine. I just had to say it. We had to say it.
Oh my God.
You can't put that on and expect no one to say anything.
So far, most people have just said, "Oh, what's that?"
They trashed. Those are fucking
So
liars.
what you're saying is, of 110 guests, you're the first honest one who's just
Yes.
come on and been like, "What the is this setup?"
Yes. Most people are fucking liars.
I agree.
I'm not, you know, the best part about me, you might not like what I say, but you know where I stand. I came in and be like, fat dog, fucking loser. Where's my LaCroix? Waterloo's better. Let's go.
Give me some coffee.
I did. And
It's
I guess
not cold enough.
in that case, I will say sorry ahead of time. And for what other things I probably will end up saying.
Oh my gosh. Haven't even played the intro music yet.
Okay, let it rip. Today I'm grateful. Oh wait, that's you.
That is my...
That's the fact check. You better fact check.
I might not be grateful in an hour.
resentfully, okay. Here
All
we
right,
go.
so everything's good.
Yes.
All right, cool. You ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. You won't be able to hear the music without your headphones on. That's sad.
Have we not been recording? I've been hilarious this whole time.
Well, no, we have, and most of that is going to stay in. But
Oh, okay, good.
well, for the sake of the audience,
Can you sing the music and maybe that'll be better for me?
there are no words to this song.
Do you want me to hear it?
Nah, it's okay.
Okay.
I will just get this over with real quick.
Okay.
Not the podcast, the music in the intro.
Hey, whatever.
Here we go.
You have me booked for it.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. And tonight, sitting back with me is Colton Dowling, a stand-up comedian, a writer, actor, and podcast host. You may have seen Colton at South by Southwest, Skankfest, Moontower JFL, and High Plans. Before his career in comedy, Colton grew up as an army brat, modeled in Paris, and went to various schools such as Chapman University and SMC to study finance, cartoon animation, and also spent some time at places like Pack Theater and the Groundlings to study sketch writing and character work. Colton spent some time in Los Angeles working in customer acquisition and creative directing before doing almost 5 years of freelance work in video, fashion, and events. Colton then spent some time as a technology fellow, financial analyst, and data analytics consultant while also building his career in comedy, performing at a variety of festivals such as Laughed Out Queer Comedy Festival and Altercation Fest, producing shows such as Over the Rainbow and Showdown, while getting spots at clubs all over the U.S. from Denver to Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, San Diego, and finally in 2021, he set some roots down in Austin, Texas to open The Creek in the Cave and is now the co-host of the podcast podcast. Some of this is bad. Today, I'm grateful to sit back with Colton to learn the story of how he became the man he is. Dude, thank you for being here, and welcome to your episode on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just sat down.
You just sat down.
I heard all the things you said about me. A lot of them I forgot.
Hey, that's why I like doing these intros. You know, it brings back
You pulled that from LinkedIn?
Yes, sir.
That's so funny. I forgot I had a LinkedIn. My dad's ex-girlfriend told me she's from Boston, and she was crazy, but ultimately she is better than his current wife, so I do miss her. But she goes, I have 50,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Doesn't everyone?
Who cares? Well, I don't know. I haven't been on LinkedIn easily since ever I wrote that, so...
Yeah, the picture was a
5
little
years?
outdated. When I pulled it up, I was like, that is not the Colton I saw at the Jackalope, or not the Jackalope, the show pony a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, I didn't know that name.
Show pony?
Yep.
You just show up and perform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's like, you're opening for this person or you're headlining with this person. Usually I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll do a spot if I'm in town.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Could be fun.
You could go yell at a couple strangers. Why not?
Dude, that's such a fun night. And I don't say that lightly. I would not tell a comedian they're funny if I did not find them funny at all.
Would you invite them on your podcast if you didn't find them funny?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Hey, you were boring. Come on over.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem like more of a likable guy, less funny.
Yeah.
Although I wish I was more likable than funny.
I like you so far. You think you're more funny than you are likable?
Yes.
Why?
Because, I feel like I had to. I started comedy in Texas, going on the road in Texas. So, like, being a gay dude, you have to be way funnier than likable. You can't just be like... You have to be... I mean, the amount of times I've gotten booed just for being gay on stage, you have to figure out a way to, like, get the... to think past their hatred of gay people I don't know how to show. I don't know why I got booked at those places.
Is it a particular... Have you noticed any trends in terms of, like, cities that people boo you? Because...
Well, it's never a city.
It's particular clubs or spots?
No, it's like Conroe, Texas.
Ah,
Right.
well...
It's like in the middle of fucking nowhere when you're just starting and you're going to drive an hour and a half for 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you're going out of your way to get any stage time you can. Those people really hated me. Yeah,
sorry.
No, it was the best thing for me because eventually you go, oh, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. So all these people that like want the audience to like them. I'm like, ooh, you're a loser. I mean, obviously I want them to like me, but honestly, like I'm up there for me. You have to. Sorry, you're pausing like that was a crazy thing to say.
No, I'm just listening. Sorry, I listen contemplatively from time to time.
And if you're not interrupting me, then I think I'm being boring.
So do you want me to interrupt you today? I can do that a lot.
Let's come together. I'll pause more.
I'll talk up a little bit more.
Exactly. Jump in.
Being a comedian, you didn't choose an easy profession. Like that's got to be the hardest job in the world. How did you stumble upon this?
I feel like I didn't choose it. I feel like when people say like, "Oh, you work so hard," it's like, yeah, I have to. It's more of a compulsion of creating things that interest me rather than... I mean, I was a data scientist for a while, and there's some very interesting problems, and I really like thinking in numbers, but like there's a lot of suicide. Suicide rates are up. I mean, if you think about the data set, suicide thought instances went way up. And so, I mean, for me, it was... I enjoy being on stage. I love thinking critically about an idea and how to convey that idea and, have an experience that is both digestible in a relatable way, but something that mostly feels free to the common person. The common person isn't doing fun things. The common person is a fucking boring sack of shit,
right.
And they watch movies that are so exciting, but it's like, what did you do recently? And I fall into the same trap, but it's like, what would I like to experience? And figuring out a way to convey that thought into a bite-sized, commentary is kind of how I like to think.
When you were talking about movies, you made me think of dudes who, when they're really into a sports team and their team wins, and they say, "We got the win this weekend."
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're not we.
No.
Were you at the practices?
Yeah.
Were you on the field? Did you sweat? Did you get tackled? So you actually didn't do jack shit this weekend.
No, but I actually think those are the most important people in America.
Tell me why.
I whenever I see somebody riot when their team wins or their team loses, I'm like, that guy is fun. And the girls that are like, fucking let's go to the fucking game. I'm like, jeez. I like people that like stuff.
See,
I don't have to like it, but if you really like something, I go, I love that.
See here, I thought you were going to give an answer like they're good for the economy. They're spending money on beers and snacks, and they're funding the grocery stores. But no, you went a completely different way than my
just
mind
passion.
did.
I just like people that like stuff.
I like people that like stuff.
But except Naruto, I never really understood it, but I like that they like it. But it does scare me that their life is going to be sad and lonely.
Naruto?
Isn't that weird? Isn't that an odd thought?
What is Naruto?
It's like a very specific anime that was popular. I don't know if it still is, but it was very popular when I was in high school. And they used to wear those like big metal things on their forehead, like
a metal bandana.
It was a bandana with a big metal plate on the front of it. You never saw that? Where are you from?
Somewhere where we wear knee straps on podcasts.
Knee straps on?
knee strap.
Knee strap. You took off the knee strap.
No, I did. I wanted to cross my legs, and you seemed uncomfortable. And
I didn't shame you out of the knee straps, did you?
I'll probably put them back on.
Put them back on.
When I'm done being cross-legged, this is comfy right now.
Okay, good.
I'm from Northern California, Sacramento.
Oh, you definitely had Naruto kids, for sure. Were you playing sports? How did you not see them?
I was playing Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! I was watching Darkwing Duck. I was probably playing Batman.
Darkwing
Halo.
Duck? That shit was okay.
You said okay.
That's older than you are. So you're being nostalgic about it.
You don't know how old I am.
37.
How did you know that?
You said, I need this back thing. I'm 37 years old.
Forgot to say my age.
And I'm 34, so I was like, oh, I can't wait in 3 years when I get to put some stirrups on. Catch my podcast. Stirrups, Colton in my stirrups.
Hey, you might not have to deal with this because I did the accounting thing for several years, and I swear that's why my back gave out. Is because I was just sitting hunched over like this.
Yeah.
But you broke out of that world. You're doing comedy now. You're acting. You're songwriting.
Yeah, I also do hip mobility things every single day. I mean, I can almost do the splits.
You stretch?
It's more, it's not stretching. It's more like dynamic movements.
Okay.
So I don't know what is it called? Calisthenics. It's in that range of things.
Is he bothering you?
No, I just have ADHD, and I just have to keep up on the progress of him chewing the thing.
I think he's done.
Yeah, but I don't know why. That's what I was thinking of. Like, why stop now?
All the fluff is out.
Not all the fluff.
You're
There's
right.
more fluff.
There is more fluff.
And I just thought, can you imagine being satisfied? Like, it's like he drank half a beer, and I'm just watching half a toy be empty, and I'm like, you saving it for later? Like, that's pretty cool.
I think it's a stress thing because as soon as someone shows up, all of a sudden he doesn't get 100% of my attention anymore. And I think this is like a cry for attention because he never does this when
he's
we're
underneath
here alone.
my feet, and he's fine. I mean, come on, dog. Thaddeus. Is his full name Thaddeus, and why?
So did you ever watch Blue Mountain State?
I know it.
So you
D1 football, right?
Yep. So the main character, his name is Thad Castle, and I think Thad's pretty cute and pretty stupid. And so when I adopted him, the shelter was calling him Max, and I was like, "Well, that's every dog. You're not Max.
Yeah.
So I figured I have 48 hours to name this dog at the most.
Why?
Because I wanted to start calling him by his real name immediately. Yeah. So I take him home, and he's sniffing around, and we jump on the couch. I turn on some TV, and Blue Mountain State's on. and there's a scene with Thad, and I looked at him and I was like, dude, you're Thad, bro. So now he's been Thad ever since. But people call him Sir Thaddington, Thaddeus Maximus. My mom calls him Kevin.
Yeah, I could see both.
Yeah.
I could see both. My dog's name's Ricky Martin, so like I'm not shitting on the name, just interested, you know. Thad sounds like a private school kid that's making fun of a Chad. Yeah.
One of my friends was at Zilker once, and he had never met my dog, and he thought he heard me yelling, "Dad! Dad!" And he's like,
Yeah.
Why is
That is a
David calling
great
for his
name.
dad? He doesn't even talk to his dad. His dad's in California. And then he found out I was just yelling at Thad.
That is, I wish his name was Dad. I didn't until right now, but now I wish. I was almost gonna name my dog John, because that's my dad's name, and I just thought that'd be funny. But my husband wouldn't let me.
I like Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin, I call him Sweet Ricky, and if he's being a dick, I call him Slick Rick. It's
Slick Rick.
yeah, it's good.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a mutt. He's Pyrenees Shepherd mix. He's a giant. He's already 40 pounds. He's 3 months old.
He's almost 40 pounds, and he's 7.
I mean, he could lose a 20 and be fine. This dog is a fucking pillow.
Dude, I swear he like breaks into the pantry when I'm sleeping because he gets breakfast and dinner, small, 3/4 of a cup, and then he gets one treat every day, just one, a tooth cleaning bone. And to my knowledge, that is all he consumes.
I don't want to tell you how to raise your dog. I'm just saying, whatever result it is, he's fat.
All right, we're going down to half a cup, buddy. The 3/4
hey,
of the cup is too much.
I don't want to quote that. What is it? 1,000-pound. My fat. What is it called? 600-pound life. The
Something like
Armenian guy who's like, you don't have to eat. You can really leave off of your whole thing. You're fat.
Maybe I'll just get him.
That's a pretty good accent. First time I ever tried.
That was not bad.
I just been watching you, and you have to continue eating like this. What have you been eating?
Gonna get him a little treadmill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, I'm not
Yeah.
telling you how to live your dog's life. I think I prefer a fat dog.
I think he's real cute. I just don't want him to die early because he's fat, you know?
Oh.
I want this dog as long as I can possibly get him.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, do change.
You hear that, Thad? This has nothing to do with me.
'Cause this
You
was-
gotta change.
This son of a bitch.
You exhibit some self-control when I feed you.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you want him to live, I didn't realize you wanted him to live.
Oh, yeah,
in that
I love
case,
this guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Then you should probably change it. Dude, he's so fat. He just stood up and I was like, it's not rolls, you know. He looks like a weenie. Dude, that's he just looked at you like you just pinched his muffins. You touched his shoulder and he's like, "Hey, that's my fat part."
He didn't feel it. 'cause
It
it's
is
too much
crazy to
skin.
see. None of his fat is in his legs or his head. So it's a funny thing to see. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. You want a Zen?
Nope.
All
Thank
right.
you though.
Where are you smoking on today? What you got over there?
Unfortunately, I'm hooked on Geek Bars.
What's that?
It's a vape.
Okay.
There's no weed in it. It's just nicotine.
Excellent.
I need to quit.
That's
But those ruin my enamel, so I can't do those.
What's it do to him, or what's it been doing
Just
to
super
him?
sensitive now.
Mm.
They've I don't know. They've gotten better, but for a while I was brushing my teeth one day. I was like, ow, fuck. Then I had to switch to Sensodyne, and I was like, wait, why don't I just stop that? Then I picked up this, and well, this is way worse than that.
So, funny story with these. Have you met a guy named Isaac Kane Brown?
Maybe.
All right, so there's a guy in Austin named Isaac,
Okay.
and he came on the podcast, and halfway through the episode, he takes us out of a pack of Zins, not this one, pops one into his mouth, and been a nicotine-free guy for probably like 10 plus years, with the exception of a cigar on like Christmas Day.
Okay.
And so I asked Isaac, he pops one of these in his mouth. I was like, hey, what is that? And he goes, it's a Zen. I said, what's a Zen? And he takes the lid off. He says, take one, put it in your mouth.
No, that rat bastard.
It's advice I don't normally listen to.
Yeah.
But in this case, I did. So I took one, put it in my mouth, and dude, the head rush I got, I was immediately addicted. So I told myself, I will allow myself to use these, but when I go into my next dentist appointment, if they make any comment about like, hey, your gums aren't looking as healthy, or like anything,
Yeah.
I'll cut them off. So I go to my 6-month cleaning, doctor didn't say a thing. So I thought, guess I got another 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, my doctor didn't say anything about them. It was, I tried to do the whitening thing, and like my whole mouth just started like, so yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah. Next question.
Who are you? You can't just say your name.
A
That's
tornado. Tornado of impulse buying and opinions, but not really holding to any of them.
What's the last thing you impulse bought?
Definitely 3 vapes and snuff.
Snuff? Snuff.
Yeah, I thought, I haven't tried snuff since high school. It's thin tobacco that you huff. And well, big mistake. I even said, it's like I'm doing cocaine, and that's when I threw it away. But it did feel like a roundabout to that, which was obviously not good. Does your dog go pee out on the balcony?
No, that's his way of saying he wants to go sit on the chair, but the problem is I'm recording, and that means hot air gets in. So if you want me to, I'll go open the door for him.
No,
Otherwise,
I
it's just like, dude,
I'm at the whims of him.
You're fucked for the next hour.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Sorry, Thad. You're staying inside. It's hot.
Who
Who were you? Where'd you grow up?
Army brat. So we moved as little as 10 months. I think we did 10 months in Leavenworth, which is a military prison in the middle of Kansas. But then my dad was in Missile Space Command, so we did all the Air Force bases, and we did England and Colorado and Moffett.
Is that the place you were talking about earlier?
No, you said you were from Sacramento, so I thought you might have known. Moffett, it's near Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale?
Yeah.
Huh.
Google ended up buying it, but so it doesn't exist anymore, but Moffett Air Force Base.
Google bought an Air Force base.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Google and Apple, I think. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing with it, but yeah.
Next thing you hear, Disney's going to be buying an Air Force base. Why do they need
I don't
that?
know. I think they lost so much fucking money on the Snow White thing. They lost like $200 million on that, I think.
What's the Snow White thing?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean,
Did they make like a live action and it just tanked?
yeah.
Is it out already?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even hear about this.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
People hate it. I don't know why. Well, I know why my dad hates it.
Why does your dad hate it?
Because Snow White's not white.
What is she?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say what she is.
Sure.
She's definitely pro-Palestine. That's pissing some people off.
Interesting.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. She's Latina, maybe. I don't know, but
She's not
who
white.
gives a fuck? I don't know, but I'll probably watch it. I
watch it
love
too.
really bad movies. I think one of my favorite bad movies right now is Gladiator 2. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I've seen it 5 times. It's like so bad. I love it.
Did you see Cabin in the Woods?
I don't think so.
This might be a hot take. I think it's a pretty bad scary movie, but I love it. I won't tell you anything else about it in case you want to go watch it.
I don't watch horror movies, so I probably don't think I'll ever see it. It's not like scary. I go like, why am I putting this in my brain?
You want me just to spoil it for you then?
Sure.
First half of the movie, it starts out as if a bunch of college students are going to a cabin in the woods.
I've heard of it.
And then while they are there, creepy stuff starts happening.
Like?
One of them gets stabbed by a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Run of the mill. They start hearing voices. They find a basement with all these really weird, like journals about there's like a journal entry about like a dad raping his daughter and just like dark shit that's very like, oh, we don't want to be reading this. Like,
Did
why?
he read it out loud?
Yeah.
Dude, you're not gonna catch me reading that shit out loud. If I find a rape journal, that shit is.
Well, what if you don't know what you're reading until you're already reading it out loud?
I guess I did just.
You did just read that whole.
Yeah,
I could have handed you anything.
Yeah,
You were on mic. The button was on.
I would have seen the word and not said it.
Anyways, second half of the movie is essentially the ones who survive find out that this whole thing was a trap and that they're these gods that are trapped underneath the earth, and every year 4 humans have to be sacrificed to them. So they were lured to the cabin as a sacrifice, and then they end up escaping the cabin. They kill the people that lured them there, but then because the sacrifice isn't completed, the movie ends with the gods waking up, they destroy planet Earth, and it's one of the few movies where everybody dies.
You're right. That sounds like a very bad movie.
It's pretty. Sigourney Weaver makes like a 5-minute appearance. You're like, Sigourney, what the fuck are you doing here?
That sounds like a awful movie.
It's pretty bad, but I love it. I've seen it minimum 4, 5, 6 times at least.
What kind of gods are they?
Mean ones.
So they don't like go into character at all?
They never even. The only time you see the god is 5 seconds before the movie ends. And if this is Earth, you see a fist about the size of mine come up through the planet and just destroy Earth. So all you see is this fist that's surrounded by fire that literally just sucker punches planet Earth, and then the movie's over. In case you didn't already think it was bad, let me make it worse.
That is so trash. That is a guy that's like, I don't know, the whole world ends. He goes, how? He goes, like the whole fucking thing. Yeah.
You know who they got to play as the main character? The guy that plays Thor, one of the Hemsworth brothers, Chris.
Wait, it was Chris Helmsworth.
It's whichever one plays Thor is the main lead.
All right, I'll watch it.
But now I ruined it for you.
No, you didn't. That movie started ruined. Like it wasn't that movie.
As soon as I said the title,
figure out how on. Yeah. Also, introducing that as a scary movie is crazy. It's more like concept. I don't know. I'm interested. I'll watch it tonight and I'll get back to you. I saw Borat and I saw Bruno with my mom in theaters as well. We didn't know that you were going to see a bunch of dong, but it's okay. But my mom is also not as conservative as she was when I was growing up.
How conservative on a scale of 1 to 10 was your mom when you were growing up?
I guess I was going to give you words instead of a number.
Give me words.
I guess 8 out of 10. I mean, we were going to church. It was evangelical conservative, so it was like Bible camp, youth group on Wednesdays, church on Sundays, and then like Christian sports leagues. It was it too much. I mean, I remember my mom. We grew up in. I went to high school in Colorado Springs and middle school. And that's the place of Focus on the Family. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Focus on the Family is there.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, just imagine gay conversion therapy, but the whole city. And it's just trash people. One time my dad's neighbor, we were at Easter, and he looked over and he goes, "Hey, Colton, I think gay people are ruining the neighborhood." I was like, I'm the only gay person in the fucking neighborhood, Larry, you piece of shit. I was like, what do you mean we're... He goes, yeah, just family values. I was like, well, I promise not to fuck your wife. What are you talking about? Half of you guys are divorced. You out of your fucking mind? So, that's how I grew up.
How old were you when you started suspecting that you were gay?
I was 21 when I came out. I went to hair school and then I came out. So I was deep in the closet. I mean, I was multiple female interactions. I don't think any of them came, but I did.
But when did you know?
I always thought it was I mean, ADHD. I'm like, I'm used to impulsive thoughts,
Yeah.
that feeling that you're driving and you're like, oh, what if I just like turn the wheel and fucking fly off the road? I think everybody's thought that. So whenever I was like, what if I take down Matt Thompson's pants and suck his dick? I thought it was a crazy thought to have. And especially since I didn't know any gay people that were like masculine, and I was more, I thought I was more back then. I'm not claiming to be masculine now. But I was like, I didn't know any other gay rugby players or like anybody that did the things I was doing. So I just assumed that it wasn't a gay thought, but just a very silly thought.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Did the being raised Christian and come into play with that at all as well, or was it more so of just like, that's just a fleeting thought?
I think less the Christianity, more so the toxic military weak. Like my dad was an airborne ranger, so it was conflated to me that anything weak was bad and gay was weak. So if you were gay, you were implicitly weak. So I think that I was like just constantly being like, no, I'm strong, I could take it. That I like, there's no quitting, discipline, like all that shit. And then one day I was like, yo, it's pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
What made you decide to come out when you were 21?
I think that I had enough thoughts where I was like, and I had been wrong about enough things about myself where I was like open to experimenting and just being like, would I die? Oh, well, in college, I went to spring break in Cabo, and there was $1 tequila shots, and this guy slapped down a 20, and then the whole group walked away, and he had 20 shots. He was like, bro, like, help me out with some of these. And then I got blacked out, and I woke up naked in his bed. Apparently, I had gotten, like, I'd stripped down, gotten naked in the pool at their hotel. But if you've ever been to Cabo, you know that the entire fucking hotel is built around the pool. So the fact that I was naked in front of about 3,000 people is pretty wild. But yeah, I was like, oh, well, I didn't die. I definitely wasn't ready to come out. And he did tell everyone at my college that I was gay. So that sucked. Would that just push me further into like, no, just because I did one gay thing doesn't make me gay.
Right.
And then I was like, I'm bi for a while. And then I was like, I don't really care. Whatever. And now I think that I'm more gay than bi because dealing with figuring out, like, women are so homophobic that they're like, I don't want a guy that gets fucked in the ass. You're like, all right, well then I guess I'll lie to you.
That's never happened.
Right. Yeah. And so I just feel like it's easier to navigate. Also, I'm married to a man, so like that makes it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the original question was.
It was when did you suspect? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And I also, when I was 16, I Eskimo kissed a dude's dick through a sleeping bag, but I just thought that was hilarious.
Right.
I didn't think that was like, I mean, I don't know. We were blacking out as high schoolers and just doing whatever we thought. So I feel like if other people weren't responsible for like jumping off a deck or throwing up in their parents' bedroom, like, why would it be more crazy that I Eskimo kissed a dude's dick through a sleeping bag?
Yeah.
I don't think that I was any more liable. I don't think it revealed any more truth about me than them throwing up in their parents' bedroom, right?
Right.
What does that say about them? They felt a little queasy, and I was feeling a little curious. What would this be like?
Yeah.
I don't know if that revealed any truth about me. And because of that, I just kept on being like, what do I want to do today? What sounds fun? And really, I think when you grow up with a certain set of rules and then you realize all that construction of reality is not prescribed to me, what things are true and what things aren't true now, you kind of have to do a little bit more exploring for yourself. I'm just not readily accepting other people's societal norms anymore.
Yeah.
So I go, I don't know. Whatever's comfortable for me. Whatever's, does the most positive thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I may have been even a little bit deeper than you were. I didn't come out till I was 25.
I didn't know you were gay. I was gonna ask.
I'm gay. Yeah,
Okay.
not bi, definitely
Okay.
not straight.
Okay.
I like men too much.
Cool.
But when I was 25, I finally jumped on Grindr because
You should tell people more.
I should tell people more what?
Before I sat down, you should have been like, and I'm gay. I should have known
I
with
could
how
put a sign on the door.
Yeah, I should have known with how prepared you were with how many drinks you had.
You know what? One of my other
I saw these girls and I just assumed they were your girlfriends.
all of them are.
Yes,
I have 7
I was like,
girlfriends
this guy
as we
is
speak.
cool.
This guy is cool. No girlfriends, no boyfriends, just very single. But I had I downloaded Grindr one night because I'd never met, to my knowledge, another gay dude before. And so even just popping on Grindr that first night, still remember the apartment. It was summertime of 2011. And first off, just seeing how many guys were on that grid, I was like, I'm not alone. This is great.
Is your profile picture an anime character?
No.
Oh, okay, because when I went to the bathroom, I did look to be like, maybe he is. I thought this was you. Oh, I'm on airplane mode. And I was like, well, oh, he said he's 6'4", so it wasn't you.
It's not me. I think I know who you're talking about, though, because, yeah, I know. Well, I don't know who that is, but yes, I've seen that profile.
This is that Naruto shit that I was like, well, maybe he's a fucking nerd. I mean, okay.
No, that's not me. Womp womp. But so anyways, this guy comes over, and he comes over. He gave me a blowjob, and he left. And as soon as he left, that's when I knew for sure. I was like, "Yep, I'm gay."
Interesting.
I had some suspicions before. I tried to hook up with one girlfriend in college, and that did not go well. And so I was very, very much pretty confident after that. I was like, yeah, I don't like women. But then it took me a few years to find the courage to do something with a guy. And once I did, I was like, that felt so right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting when you're trying to figure out if you're gay or not when you're younger, because the way that I was treating women, the straight guys were treating women too. And like, I mean, which was bad, like I actively have retroactively apologized to all the women, just been like, hey, I'm sorry, I was going through something, I was trying to find myself, I hated to use you as that. I mean, the amount of times that I feel like straight guys try to use me to figure out, I am a little bit more forgiving in that way. I feel like a lot of gay people are like, I'm not your experiment. I'm like, let them experiment on my hole. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I mean, call me a beaker, my hole is your test tube. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Run your chemical experiments. I'm on prep. We're good. But because there was no other, friends that I had that were like, well, that you like her because you these things. It was like, yeah, well, she's a bitch. It's like, and again, I wasn't surrounding myself with good guys either. So I just never had that, that introspection of being like, maybe you're barking up the wrong tree, and sure, it feels good to rub your dick in them. Sure. But do you care about them as human beings, or is this a way to validate your fears about, exposing some sort of vulnerability that you think you have?
Yeah.
And ultimately, once I started getting with dudes, I was like, oh, I was scared.
Yeah.
That's it. I was scared. And I don't know. I think that because I had that feeling of being wrong, basically, and just basically hitting the wall of my fear factor, don't bring it up, then I feel like I'm more comfortable being around people that are actively wrong around me, because I'm like, they'll figure it out.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister is my best friend, and she's an anti-vaxxer. She loves Elon Musk, and I'm like, she's so fucking wrong, but I was closeted around here for years. So I'm going to give her a break.
How did your family react to you coming out? Did they know on some level? You think?
Well, actually, that sister said, "No, you fucking faggot," and then hung up on me, which is fun. I think she cared the most. She was one of the last people I told, but she is very much scared because she wants me to have an easy life. She wants me to like do all these things, and in her mind, that was a risk that was going to expose me to hurt, pain, whatever. It's like, no, actually, coming out, I've had less hurt and pain than when I was living in there, but I understand your fear for me. My dad told me that I should go to therapy. Yeah. I did end up going to therapy, but it was not for being gay.
Not necessarily because of that recommendation.
No, it's interesting because the therapy was more about how my dad wasn't around than am I gay. My mom was like, "Oh my God, this must be so good for you to finally get that off your chest." And I was like, "No, actually, you're like the last one I told." Like actually, I've already dealt with it. I'm only bringing it up to you in case you see me sucking or fucking. My brother was like, "Cool. Do you need anything to know?" The one that I didn't like was my other sister. And she started crying and was like, "I'm sorry that we didn't create a safe enough space for you to live your truth." And I was like, "Don't make this about you." Like, I didn't know either. So, like, how would you have known?
Yeah.
I would crochet a lot, but it's not necessarily gay.
No.
I was always an entrepreneurial. And so I would, like, I had a coat business where I'd line the inside with fur, and I would do the outside with fur, or I'd do like cool logos. And no one thought it was gay. They were always like, "He's such a businessman. That guy, he flips jackets, makes $10 a pop on those fuckers."
Yeah.
Spending hours sewing. It was a bad business.
Hey, you could have been like the next Damon John, if you know who that is.
I do. FUBU.
Yeah, he probably got made fun of. He's out there slinging T-shirts.
The first runway modeling I did was for Tommy Hilfiger, and I always thought, I was like, I'm so like Tommy Hilfiger. He started with selling ties door to door, and I'm doing fur coats. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Were you on Shark Tank? You weren't on Shark Tank, were you?
Mm-mm.
Did you know that there's a little hyperlink on your bio that leads to this random 4-minute clip of a random episode of Shark Tank?
Yes.
Why?
It's funny to me.
Well, because so I clicked the link and I saw it's only 4 minutes. I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I love Shark Tank. And then I saw the kid who was pitching and his dad. I'm like, well, neither of those are Colton.
Yeah.
So I thought for sure maybe you were like a cameraman or something.
Nope.
So I was like watching for you to run across the screen in the background, and the whole 4 minutes went by, and I was like, wait, what am I missing?
Do you remember
here?
what their business was?
Not stucco. Wasn't it like caulk or something?
I have no idea. I do these things and I put them everywhere, and people are like, yeah, I was doing a weekend at Comedy on State, and they're like, "You've seen this guy on SNL, Shark Tank, Rick and Morty." I was like, no.
You weren't on SNL either?
On the end of my bio, I understand why people say it because they don't read, but it says he's seen shows like...
Oh my God. I didn't catch on to that line.
No one ever does.
But that's why I didn't include Shark Tank in the bio, because I was like, there's something suspicious going on here.
Yeah, no.
He was not on Shark Tank.
I didn't even say he likes shows. It says he's seen shows like.
That's very clever.
I don't know why I did it, but it's everywhere now. I was like, whatever, I don't give a shit.
You must like your podcast because it's tattooed on your arm.
This is episode 1. We didn't release it because the tattoo artist ended up being like earnestly homophobic in like a way that no one was mad about it. He just actually thought all people had AIDS. All gay people had AIDS. And we had to be like, no. He didn't realize that we were gay. And we were like, no, we're on PrEP. And he's like, what that is? And we're like, oh, it's like a pill you take so you don't get HIV, which is the precursor to AIDS. And he was like, wait, there's a pill that you could take so you don't get HIV? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I gotta go on that. And I was like, why? What are you doing? You know, like, what's happening in your life that's such a big concern for you? And so we never released the episode, but we both got tattoos before the podcast even started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication right there. Or was it just a phrase you liked enough that even if you never released the podcast, you wouldn't regret the fact that it's on your arm?
That. Because I think so many of my projects I never started because I was worried that they were, like, gonna be bad. And this idea that it had to come out perfectly and that, you know, this fully, you know, fledged present has to exist before I can, you know, put it out because I'm so worried. Like, I don't even really like to post really anymore because of this perfectionism bullshit. Because I'm worried that if somebody sees this, you know, dimension of your personality, then they'll just like infer this entire thing about me. And I was like, no, that's not true about me. That's like one sentence I said once. But because I was going through this, like, some of this is bad, I was like, some of this is going to be bad because you're new at it, and kind of just letting myself fail. So that's where that came from. Is the first podcast I was ever like okay with being like, no, it's supposed to suck for a little bit. I mean, we started in Dylan's apartment on his couch with one camera, and now we have a whole studio, and it's bigger and it's better, but yeah, at the very beginning, it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could relate to that. I went back a couple
This
of weeks ago.
is a whole. This is way more than we had.
Well,
this is nice.
I appreciate that. I will say episode 1 was, and many after that, were, I went back down memory lane a couple months ago, and even just the sound quality, I was like, oh God, I almost want to take this down. But I left it up because I do think it's cool for if there's another podcaster who comes and checks out the channel, they can also see, like, this was not always good from day one. Like, the first 20 were absolute shit. And I'm okay with that living out there. I don't want to hide that. I want it there for everyone, for me, for them, you.
We took down a lot because there was a moment where I got hooked on Kratom.
What's Kratom?
Kratom's gas station heroin.
Ah.
Yeah, and so I had to get off that, and then the podcast survived. But Dylan and I were very much not cool, but but I got off Kratom, and yeah, that's the thing about like coming out of rehab. All these therapists and psychologists are always like, well, you were dealing with this with your self-medicating. But if we medicate you with the right thing, and so then they diagnose you with all these things and try to gift you on all these pills. So like for the first 6 months after rehab, I wasn't sober either because of how many pills they were popping me up on. And eventually I went clean. And then I was like, well, Kratom was in my Skankfest bag because they were sponsored by that. And I had just been doing a lot of traveling. I was on the plane a lot. I had back issues.
Should have got a better back.
But instead what I got was 2 pills of Kratom. And I was like, my kinks went away. And then I, eventually was taking bottles of Kratom. And yeah.
Is Kratom is it a liquid? A pill?
It can be. It's powder. But they're selling it. My biggest recommendation, never try Kratom. You might like it a little bit at first, but it is so addictive. It's not worth it. It's like vaping. Do not vape. Do not even think you can vape. It's not okay. Don't ever do it.
Yeah, don't take Zins. They're not here.
I agree. I don't think you should Zin. Ultimately, so I think Mormons are half retarded. I do think that as a people, they allow themselves some sort of what is it called? Deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, where they're not necessarily critical thinkers because they're just like not taught to think that way. But I think them limiting Coke, like sodas and alcohol, I think like sometimes I'm like, that's a good thing for their society, right?
Yeah.
Is it limiting freedom? Yes. Are our bodies capable of living a complete free life? No. Because otherwise I'd be doing heroin. And the opportunity to do heroin, I think if it was more readily available, I mean, I already just said I did it. I did gas station heroin. You know, like, I don't know that these things are. I go back and forth between being a libertarian and being like, we need to shut it all down. I don't know. But now that I'm sober, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what rules they make. I think the fact that they made it 21 and up for cigarettes, that's one of my favorite laws.
Why?
Because 18, dude, they're not real people. I had this 19-year-old kid trying to top me, and I was like, bro, like, you're hot and not happening. Like, it's just nothing to say about you. You're just not a human being yet.
Yeah.
I just, especially men, you're not a human being until you're 26.
Well, that's when I came out. So as soon as you said that, I was like, I became a
right.
man on all levels.
Well, it's when your
I'm being honest for the first time.
Right. I think like it's your kind of your awareness and your hormones start leveling out where you actually are able to think critically.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, I think up until 26, I was just like on go, just like zooming, and wherever I landed, that's where I was. You don't think that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It is a bit of chaos.
It sounded like you had more involved parents than I did, though. I didn't talk to my mom my junior or senior year, and my dad wasn't around my entire life.
My dad and me have not talked in close to 2 decades. I don't know how long at this point. It could be 14 years, 18 years. It's more than 10, less than 20.
So before you came out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a gay thing.
Oh, the reason we stopped talking?
I inferred that.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, well.
It could have been. As I've thought about it, I sometimes wonder if the reason that he was so hard on me as a kid is because he knew. That's my theory. I think he was the first person that knew I was gay. Like, he probably either saw me checking out dudes or he saw, like, some of my mannerisms or something.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I need him to get my son on the straight and narrow path. So I'm going to get him nice and...
And so he was just... you didn't talk to him because he was a dick.
Sorta. The very short version is my mom divorced him, and the night she left him and she took my two daughters... my 2 daughters.
Oh, damn, son.
My 2 sisters. The night she took my 2 sisters and left, they were afraid for their safety, and so they just took the car and left. I still had a key to the house, so my mom asked me if I'd go back and try to get their school books so they didn't have to go without them the next day. So I go back, I knock the front door, I go in, my dad comes running over, he's like, you can't take anything, you shouldn't be here. I'm like, well, it's my house, I have a fucking key.
Yeah.
And he was
How
like...
old were you at the time?
19, 18.
Okay.
And so I told him I'm not here to get in the middle of your guys' fight. I don't care why they left. I was just hoping to get my sister's school books. And he says, well, if you take their school books, you're stealing from my house and trespassing. I'm going to call 911 on you. And I said, no, you're not. I'm taking my sister's books. So he takes his phone, dials 911, shoves in my face. He's like, I'm about to dial. And I was like, I fucking double dog dare you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right. And I said, before you dial, if you hit that button, you're never going to see me again. Don't contact me. Don't write me. Don't email me. We're done.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. And he hit the send button. Haven't talked to him since.
Damn. Has he reached out?
Only once. He sent me a letter in the middle of 2020 during COVID, and there was no return address on it. So I just saw a handwritten letter to me, which who gets those anymore? I was like, that's crazy. I only
Special.
get bills in the mail.
Someone special.
So I open it up, and I see it says, Dear David. And I immediately recognize the handwriting. And in his first line, it said something like, I've come to realize at 74 years of age that relationships are hard. I'm like, it took you 74 fucking years to figure that out? I got a match, lit it on fire, threw it in the sink, walked away.
You
no
didn't
idea what the rest of it said.
Wow. God damn you, David.
God damn you.
You rat bastard. We all wanted to know.
No one knows except Dad and God.
Well.
So, sorry.
So that just means Dad.
Yeah.
Only one person knows then, so that's rough. Damn. Well, that is a bad opening sentence, but he probably wrote in pen.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So he
Quail.
Yeah.
Quail and ink.
Quill.
Quill. Quail?
Not quail.
Quail's a bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quill.
Yeah. I mean, that is. I mean, my mom and my sister. You know, she's tried to rekindle that relationship a couple times, and it is hard to know what to say, especially when you're like after several years. You're like, there's too much that you're mad about that I can contextualize in a letter. There's nothing in this letter that can possibly make up for what happened. What you have to know is that I'm sending the letter to try and start. But he didn't set a return address, so that is crazy.
I think he knew I wouldn't have opened it if I saw it was from him.
What if he? Oh, okay. Because I was kind of guessing that he was like, "You're the last person I'm talking to. I'm shooting myself right now."
That'd be nice.
Right. So none of your family talks to him?
So they still do. Me and I have 4 siblings total, 5 including myself. 2 of us I'm pretty
You're
sure
the
don't
oldest?
talk to. I'm right in the middle.
Okay.
2 of us don't talk to him at all. One of them talks to him as needed, and the other 2 are in still like a full-fledged parent-child relationship with him.
Yeah. In Sacramento.
One is in Oregon, one is in New York. Dad is still in Northern California.
You call him Dad. That's nice.
Steve.
Yeah. I call my dad John because he goes, "Why don't you guys ever call me Dad anymore?" When I was like, "Once you start acting like it, then I'll start calling you Dad again."
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I also don't know if I need. I think it's an interesting thing because like as a kid, you go like, if there was a kid, I guess my therapist used to be like, if you saw a kid right now and they needed a dad, what would you say? So I always think like, as younger me, I would be like, okay, that person needed a dad. And I think that adults can need dads too, but I don't know what, like, I haven't had one, so I couldn't even begin to tell you what they would do for me. You know? Like, what would, like, if I had a good dad, where would he show up? Right? And I'm like, and so I don't know.
I remember back in 2020, like many people, got laid off from my job, and I decided to jump into a bottle of whiskey. Did that for about 3 months and scared myself and had a little 9-month stint in AA. And I didn't like very much of what I heard in there. But one thing that I did like was there's a guy who was talking about how because his father wasn't around and also because he hadn't been raised religious, he was having a hard time with the concept of finding his higher power and what that looked like to him in present day when this meeting happened 5 years ago was that I'm going to butcher this. It was something to the effect of like, my higher power is a place where I can lay down in my bed and I sort of feel him just wrapping me up and comforting me and telling me that everything's being okay. Everything's going to be okay. And I thought, yeah, I like that image for like a father or a higher power, someone that you can go to and just be like, hey, it'll be okay. If it's not the end, what's that phrase from the fucking Beatles? Everything
Yellow
will be
bus.
okay in the end.
Oh.
If it's not the end, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Or I just butchered that one too. I just butchered that so bad. I haven't heard him talk in 5 years, but there is something someone said in an AA meeting once where I was like, yes, that's a good mental image of a dad. Someone good to go to when I need wisdom, advice, or even just an ear to bend. That'd be cool.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I guess. Yeah, no, if you went to my dad for that, I would be like, you're a fucking moron. So like, I think it's so interesting that people are like so caught up on like pronouns and all this because like to me words have always meant something different, you know, like when people talk about like a mom figure or a dad figure, the inference on what that brings are feelings that reside within that word have never been true for me, so I'm always okay with the dynamic idea that words have different meanings. Same words have different meanings to different people, but like I go like, okay, well, if you need a higher power so that you can stop being a fucking alcoholic, that's cool. You know, for me, I recently read the book How to Quit Like a Woman, which is I read it as a joke because the first book I read, I've been looking. So my podcast partner is just blown the fuck up. He has like millions of followers now, like. And he's like, dude, we say the same stuff. We're the same person. The difference is I post, you don't. So I went on AI and I was trying to create a writing partner. And like I had it ask me like 50 questions to get to know me and my goals. And so it was talking about like content. We were talking about that. And then eventually I was like, oh yeah, like I'm also sober. So like if that content happened And they were like, firstly, congratulations on even trying to get sober. Here's this book. And it's like, Quit Like a Woman. I was like, that's hilarious. Because I just read Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Drinking for Women. And the only difference was like, when you're really thirsty, you want a glass of rosé. I was like, okay, you're just changing the nouns, but that's fine.
Yep.
I get the concept. This book completely changed my mind on drinking, where before, when I quit drinking, it was like a mental math that I would have to do to not have a drink, where I'd be like, okay, I would have to come up with a good enough reason every time not to drink, basically. This, to me, paradigm shift is I've been working on the problem of how much moderation can exist in my life. Is today a good time to drink? Is this occasion important enough to make the whatever switch where you're allowed to drink? And to me, that problem doesn't need solving. Like, to me, if you look back on my life and they go, and Colton found the exact amount to eat and drink every single day. He brought moderation into the modern system. Like, that to me is not an interesting problem. So I think that before AA and my entire upbringing, which was like discipline, which is like, if you can't do this, you're weak. Like, if you don't have the discipline to choose the right friends, if you don't have this, then you're weak. And again, that goes back to the gay stuff, but it's like, actually, it's very rational that you would even consider having a drink because it's fucking shot at you with all the multimedia that exists everywhere. I own a bar, like, if you do comedy, they're like, here are 4 drink tickets, go get shit-faced before you go on stage. Like, it's a reasonable assumption that you might. However, I think that for me, I've just kind of been like, thinking about like, what do I want to do? Which problems do I want to solve? And so that goes back to like my childhood. It's like, sure, I could come up with the instance and origin story of my anxiety around that. Or I could work on a problem that I'm more interested in solving, which is like exploring the variations on life and figuring out who and what combinations I want to bring into my life rather than like get through this one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. Did you do AA for a little bit?
I did it for a very small amount because I'm so anti-religious that if I hear anyone talking about God, I think this is a whole fucking waste of time. I don't need to hear this. It's like someone explaining to me the taste of a strawberry. I go, sure, this person's doing their best to explain reality, but I already know what strawberry tastes like. Like,
yeah.
And this person isn't speaking from a place of knowledge. They're speaking from a place of anecdotal evidence, right? At most. They couldn't possibly, and I think that's the other problem I have with AA is you don't have to have any qualification to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So idiots just soundboard off each other and they go, well, we all think it, so it must be true. And it's like, well, you get a bunch of idiots in the room, they're going to come up with a census.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that that's helpful for me. So I don't know. That's why but this book kind of put words to the feeling that I had of trepidation around that culture, which is it was designed for these rich white guys in the 1930s who had basically endless power, endless privilege, and needed a way to pop that bubble so that they could live as the masters of their world. So that's why the first one is admit you have a problem and you have no control over it. It's like, I don't have a need to have my bubble popped. I say sorry after like stubbing my own foot. Like I'm constantly, my whole personality is I'm very sorry for being here. My sister, the one that cried, she's like really the only one in my family that can feel, and it's pretty impressive. But she was telling me that one of her like core beliefs that she accidentally picked up, because I think everybody has a core belief that they whether they like it or not, they carry it around with them. Hers was that she isn't interesting, so she has to go above and beyond so that people will feel that she's interesting. Or she won't talk at all, because why would she? She's not interesting. And then I told her that mine is that I'm inconvenient to everyone. I'm an inconvenience. And she started crying again. I go, well, that doesn't make you more interesting.
She started crying at that?
Yeah, because it is a pretty sad thing. Just be like, yeah, I'm a burden to people. And I go like, well, maybe.
Does that still sit with you today?
I think that it's one of those things that unless I'm doing, I was thinking about this today. Like, a lot of my skills have been built up to fight my own demons. And I think that's true for everybody. But it's like, when you look at somebody really resilient, you usually find somebody who's also at times been very weak, but they had to develop these skills to fight their own fucking thoughts in their head to like go beyond that. And I think that it's something that I work on being okay with, but I also am aware of the reason I have that thought is because I'm quite a disturbance to most rooms,
Yeah.
It's not a untenable thought, like I do walk in going, that's a fight dog, like I know who I am.
Yeah.
But for me, I go, I don't know, surround yourself with people that enjoy that. And if not, go into a different room.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Is that one of the keys to your sobriety? Do you think it's just being more intentional about who you surround yourself with on a daily basis?
100%. I mean, when you first get sober and you continue to do the things that you do or have done, you go, oh, this room sucks. And these people's conversations suck. And I'm around idiots. And then you go, oh, that's why I had to drink. Because this place sucks. But if you just like literally curate your life to a place where you want to be, you don't need to escape that place. Because I feel like for me personally, drinking was about not being here. And specifically not being here. But the more I identify and control it, not control, foster maybe is a better word, then I'm less likely to want to run. It's like the idea of free will not existing gives me more control. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people think that because free will exists, which it doesn't, but if free will exists, then I have control. But if you say free will doesn't exist, then you can actually open up the book and be like, why do I think this? Is this a thing I want to continue thinking? I'm going to approach this with logic rather than holding the stones I already was holding.
So when you get in your own head these days, what do you do? Because I mean, we all fucking get in our own heads.
Oh, for sure.
I know I do.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your new way of contending with it versus escaping from it?
I find that curiosity is my path to out. Such as, if I'm feeling anxious, then why am I feeling anxious? Is it true? Like, even if you go, well, I'm in public, right? I for sure have social anxiety, and I think a lot of people do. But if you go in a crowd and you're like, why am I anxious? You go, oh, crowds. You go, okay, well, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to look at me and say, I hate you. Or something,
Yeah. They're all going to point and laugh.
Right. Or like, somebody's going to pull out a gun. And then you go, okay, that's a real thing, especially in Texas. How can I mitigate those risks so that, being curious starts creating solutions rather than affirming, which is the inductive reasoning, which is that's again, I'm so anti-religious because of inductive reasoning and the fact that our brains are ought to do it. So the fact that we're just letting people do it is crazy to me.
What's inductive reasoning?
It is having thought and affirming that belief with evidence instead of looking at evidence and coming up with a thought. So this is true because of the evidence, or I found evidence because, and this is true. So I mean, it
Almost sounds like one example could be like if I tell myself nobody likes me, and then I go out and I burn a bunch of bridges, I am I'm making that thought come true. Whereas the other side of it may be if I have this thought that no one likes me, and then I stop and think, well, I had a really good podcast with Colin today. I saw Tyler and Amaya yesterday. I know they like me. Saw Austin and Sarah on Saturday. And if I look at the evidence, I'm like, oh, that thought actually isn't true at all.
Right.
So I can go ahead and get rid of it now.
right. I mean, and it takes a lot of energy to think that way. So I understand why people don't think that way.
Yeah.
But because our brain is constantly being like, I understand the story of my life. And hey, I gotta let you know, you don't.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like the fact that we're flying through space and our brains aren't constantly freaking out, I understand why we need to be dumb.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is so nice, but it's not more true, you know?
Yeah.
I understand the need for tranquility and serenity and cooperation, but like it doesn't make one idea better than the other. It just makes it it feels a little bit better. Like to think about what's wrong with America and then you go, oh, the border. Instantly you go, well, I know what's wrong with it. No, you don't, because it's way more complex than that. Even if you were to say that is a main concern, how would you fix it is a whole different topic. But the idea of breaking a complex idea and breaking it down into a simple thought makes our brains go, I get it. Like, for instance, my ex-boyfriend used to love Marvel movies, and he would talk about them all the time at me. And I would go like, I love you so much. This is important. So my brain became familiar with it to the point where I thought I understood it. After we broke up a year later, I tried to jump in a conversation to make friends, and I realized I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about because I was familiar with the information, not an expert at it. But I think that often our brains kind of go, oh, I get it, but they don't. You don't have an example like that?
Not one that comes to mind. So
I mean, maybe, I don't know. We could go raising dogs, you know?
Okay.
You're so familiar with your dog. You've had it for how long now?
4 years.
4 years. So at this point, your brain goes, I got dogs on lock. If somebody asks you, can you train a dog? You go, yeah. That is fucking ... And then you just mix in a different dog. You go, fuck.
Yeah.
I thought I knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a very basic one where everybody just assumes they have the skills and then they talk about it confidently. You go like, oh, nice, dude. Ultimately, this train of thought ends up with nothing, though. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not necessarily building any blocks. You're kind of just deconstructing. And if you deconstruct enough, what life do you have to live?
Yeah.
Which is why I stopped looking at my childhood. Because you go, well, sure, I have this behavior because I had this interaction with my parent and, like all these books that you can read. And sure, I have read them, but what are you doing today? You're going to have to get out of bed. You're going to have to make coffee, take a shower. Like those concrete things are the things that make up your day. And if you focus on those, I just feel like you're going to be happier than solving the world's problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend that recently we had a group dinner planned out and he didn't come, and he said he was going to be there, and when I finally made contact with him like 3 weeks later, I was like, are you okay? Like, it was one thing to miss dinner, but then you just like fell off the grid for like 2.5 weeks, dude. What's going on? And he's like, well, I got so anxious about some stuff. I just couldn't get out of bed, so I turned my phone off and stayed in my bedroom for 2 weeks. I'm like, dude, like, You should have told me, man, because I feel like that's the worst place to go. Like, when you just allow yourself to get... It's one thing to be, like, in a mental analysis paralysis where I'm like, I have this problem with colon. I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to take my dog for a walk, and then after that, I'm going to make dinner. And, like, in some ways, you keep your life going. But when you just stop like that... Like,
to me, I would be way more anxious for all the things I missed in that 2 weeks than just pretending that everything's okay.
I don't think he was even doing that. I think he was just in straight up
That's what I'm
panic
saying.
mode.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, even when I had to go to rehab, I was like, I can't take 30 days off. Like, and honestly, it was the best thing that I did. But
how old were you when you went to rehab?
30.
What was your biggest apprehension, the 30 days off, or was there any other apprehensions about that, or did you sort of know in your core, like, I got to do this fucking thing now?
I think I was waiting for some big reason. Like, the consequences, you hear about addicts and you go, well, I heard about how bad it gets and it's not that bad yet, so I must not be an addict. You know, when you're an addict, I don't think you have to be an addict. I don't think that anyone is an addict. I think you just start doing things. I actually that word doesn't hold true for me as it used to. I thought, especially AA, they go, well, we have an allergy. That's why we can't drink. It's like, you're not unique at all. Alcohol affects everybody the same exact way. You just drink more of it.
Yeah.
And it's ruining your life. This person has a trust fund and they can continue doing it. That doesn't make them not an alcoholic, right?
Right.
So, lost my train of thought.
We were talking about rehab and you were talking about how you were waiting for something bigger. You're waiting for
I just never had any
bottom.
consequences. But honestly, what was good about that period of my life was I was already married. And he wasn't an addict. So there was a baseline of like, this is what sober looks like, and you're coming home crying. You know, like, do you have to change, or like, and I think that I just normalized the chaos to a point where I was okay living in that, and I didn't know any different because I'd normalized everything. But oh my God, your dog tucks himself in. Did
he wrap himself up?
He
He does that. It could be the height of heat in the middle of July, and you will still find him on the porch under a blanket. And I'll be at that desk, and I'll hear him under the blanket going, and I'm like, dude, like,
that's so cute.
You can control the situation, Thad. You can get yourself out of the blanket.
Yeah,
but he chooses to stay under it like an
exactly.
addicted blanket fiend.
Exactly. Have you ever, can I tell you about wait, sorry. Can we take a commercial break so I can have a Rambler?
You want another one?
I ran out of both drinks and now I have cotton mouth.
Do you want a Waterloo and another coffee?
Just the Waterloo.
Just the Waterloo, I gotcha.
Actually, let's do the coffee too.
Which one do you want? Same one, if I have it?
You had the black...
I got that.
Rifle.
Yeah.
Just the black one.
Thank you for being here, by the way. Before we continue, can we shout out a few things that you're working on real quick?
Yeah.
So if you live in Austin, support your local comedians. Go out, have some fun. Go to the Creek in the Cave. Go see some shows. Outside and buying some tickets, buying some drinks, going out for fun. How else can the audience support you?
You know, now we're talking about it. Can you guys come to the... If you guys are going through some alcoholism and you guys are thinking, damn, this sounds like me, I'm going to get sober. Get sober next week. Drink at the Creek in the Cave this week. If you're going to get fucked up, might as well do it in front of everyone. Yeah. Come at the show. Come at the show. The Creek in the Cave is... I love the Creek in the Cave because we always have... Every time you go there, there's somebody hanging out in the back patio, and there's always somebody doing something fun. But yeah, the Creek in the Cave is always fun. creekandcave.com, creekandcave.com. But some of this is bad. When does this come out?
Probably first one in May.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys already missed Moontower JFL, but we were there. So that's cool. There's other stuff. Go to coltondowling.com to find out more. But the thing that I'm really excited about, and actually 1st of May, my whole album may be out by now. I know I've released a couple of singles, and they have been going very well. Let's just say Orville Peck follows me now.
Ah, who's that?
He's a gay country star.
Ah,
He's
there you
like
go.
saying Dixon Dallas. It doesn't matter. They're big.
I know that. I think I know that song. Sing a little line.
Dixon Dallas. His most famous one is like bouncing off his booty cheeks. I love the way he rides.
How do I not know this guy?
Something, something, something deep inside.
I always thought it'd be cool if someone came along and took all the most popular country songs, and took out like the she's and put in the he's. Because there's some really great country songs that I like tapping my foot to.
Right.
And then they're singing about women. I'm like, well, I can't relate to that.
Every time I relapse, it's always the country music.
Do you have a relapse song?
It's all of they're all like 1 whiskey, 2 whiskey, I'm getting fucked up, and I'm like me too, rather be on a beach drinking whiskey song. And I was like, yeah, brother, hell yeah.
Chris Stapleton, Sometimes I Cry. That seems like a good drinking song.
No.
I don't know if it's about drinking, but
I've never cried.
I believe you. Can I ask you a question on a podcast?
Oh, I thought you were gonna. Where the fuck is your coaster? I'm sorry.
I don't care about that
okay.
table. The chair. I don't really care about the chair either. But someone bought me these coasters, so I put them out. The question was gonna be, when you did your show at Show Pony, the one I met you at or saw you at, was that all improvised?
It's improvised to the sense that I don't have a set list and I don't know what I'm going to say.
So yes.
But some of the things I say, I've said before.
Okay.
So I don't know. For me, if I'm reciting anything, it's usually contrived and it doesn't feel authentic. But if I'm out there living in the moment where I'm like, none of us know what I'm about to say, because I don't know what I'm about to say. That feeling when you're writing and you make yourself laugh, that's what I'm searching for on stage. I'm like, we're all going along this train, and I might say this, I might bring up a topic that I've brought up before, but only to see like how we're gonna react with that and how it's gonna play with whatever the next thing I say.
So one of the things that I found the most funny about that night was you went on maybe a 2-minute tangent about your gun. And when I first moved to Texas, one of my buddies at the gym, I was telling him about, we got on the topic of guns somehow. And he's like, you want to buy one? And I was like, sure. And he's like, all right, let's go. And so we went across the street, showed him my ID. 20 minutes later, I'm walking out the store with the gun.
Yeah.
And so now my inside joke with my circle of friends is whenever someone gets someone else upset, I'll just be like, you want me to shoot them for you? And so we've been making all of these ridiculous gun jokes.
Yeah.
And then when you got on stage that night and you went through your little gun bit, dude, we were dying because we were all just like, this is our humor. This is fucking great.
It's so funny because that actually was... that's what's funny about that joke is it's all about my depression and putting on a happy face, because the idea of carrying around this depression with you into any circumstance is funny to me, because like everyone was like, yeah, we went for dinner, and I was like, yeah, we went for dinner, and then I kept in how sad I was the whole time. Like that, I feel, and we all have these thoughts that we carry around with us into other situations, but you're not allowed to bring, like, I've never had a work job where I wasn't allowed to say whatever I wanted, but I hear on movies that you have to have a professional relationship, right? So you can't tell your coworkers like, I just got fucking the ass last night, you know?
Right.
So these people are walking around just knowing that. And that's why like being sad at Cabela's is so funny to me. Just like, because I made it the win of getting the gun, so that there was this tangible win. And so we all like wanting me to get the gun. We want me to get the gun, but I'm sad and I'm tucking into the shirts and, you know, and it's like bringing that feeling around to a gun shop is just very funny to me.
Why do you like making people laugh?
I don't.
What? What?
Yeah, no, I like making me laugh.
You sort of touched on that earlier. You do it for you.
Yeah, no, I only making other people laugh. I think
Why do you like making yourself laugh so much that you've made a career out of it in some senses?
I think I really enjoy math, and so it's looking at somebody and they had a day, and I do not like these two variables. Like, you ever like try to go like, I don't know, 5x plus 2y equals 30, and you need to figure out what x is, and it's like, and you're trying to put these x's and y's together, but you have to separate them. That to me is everybody else. And so like my life is so different than everybody else's that I love shoving my variable into their life where they have to make sense of me. They're like, okay, was he relatable? No. Did I understand everything he was saying? And did he feed it to me in a way that I could understand? Yes. I mean, some people look at me, and actually somebody in Buda recently, I was like, hey, do you have any diagnosis? And he was like, schizophrenia. And I was like, crazy. Like, that's funny to me because I would never consider that. But I think it's because I love holding two things next to each other that are so different, but they're in the same world, obviously, because we're in one world. But being in the same room and being like, these two things exist side by side, and both of these things self-identify as doing it right. Everybody walks around thinking they're doing life as best they can, or else they would live a completely different life. But my life is so different than these people's that I love holding them next to each other and being like, we're all different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think that somebody who what is it called, like preaches equality, I don't think that gets very far. I think people that like to jerk themselves off like that type of thing, figuratively, who doesn't love masturbating? But like, I did so good for the world today. It's like, you didn't. Okay. There's a trash. I was about to quote Tony Hinchcliffe's joke. I'm just saying there's a trash island in the middle of the sea. So I don't know. I like popping people's bubble without necessarily making anybody the bad guy. I think that's what I like.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that you've done a great job at today is one of my goals for this podcast is to balance gravity and levity so we can show up and talk about things like rehab and have a really good time doing it, where it doesn't have to be the super serious podcast where we're talking about recovery and therefore we can't laugh at all. And we've spent most of this conversation, or at least I have, smiling and laughing and very much enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that's why I like podcasting so much, is how can we take humor and our life stories and bring these things together to have a really lighthearted podcast that gives someone else a 2-hour break in their week, whether they're listening to this while they're commuting or at work or whatever. Like it's fun. I very much enjoy it.
My grandpa went to Vietnam, I think 4 times, and he was in the Bay of Pigs, so like fucking badass Marine. And he told my dad, who was an airborne ranger, he goes, don't let them ever take your humor. It's the only way you're going to get through this. And he meant life. But there was a study about PTSD on World War I soldiers, and the ones that had the least amount of PTSD were the Australians. And everybody said the Australians were fucked up because they would just constantly be making jokes. They would like take the skulls out of the trenches and be like, why you don't know anything about that? Like fucked up shit. But like they were living in hell, and they had to make some sort of sense around it and be like, this is absurd. and we can point out that those things shouldn't exist, and that the absurdity is where we find the opportunity to change, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons I love one of my best friends, Tyler, is because of how many gay jokes he makes. If we were at the gym once, I was holding something like some sort of pole-shaped thing. He's like, David, you pretending that's a dick?
Yeah.
But like, I appreciate that kind of humor because it's like, in Sacramento, I feel like that's a very homophobic town. And I feel like I can say that because I lived there for 30 plus years.
Okay, I'll trust you.
Yeah, trust me on that one.
Okay.
Not a great place for the gays. And in Austin, it's almost like no one cares. And not only do they not care, but they'll engage with you about whatever it is that you bring to the table as part of your identity. And it's been just such a refreshing wave of relief to be like, I can be whoever the fuck I want, and people are just going to go with it.
It is interesting how comfortable the straights are.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, they're going to talk about me being they're so cool with it that they'll be like, yeah, no, you're attractive. I'm just not gay. You're just like, you want it. Like the thought that you would be okay with a gay person is so obtuse to the way I was brought up that I can't conceive of that person being as cool as they are.
Yes.
So my brain just makes up shit and goes, I must be lying to you.
Yes.
Can I play my song eventually?
Yeah. Actually, you want me to play? Yeah, I can. You
can look
play
it up on
mine?
Spotify. You can look it up on Spotify.
Because then that way the audience will hear it as well. Do I just look up your name?
Colton Dowling, and then play. Well, there's two that I have out. Backed Up is the one I'm promoting right now.
Dowling, right?
Yes.
Your last name?
When my dad was in the army, this guy kept on calling him Downing. He was like, God damn it, Captain Downing.
Oh, why is this not connected? Hang on.
And he was like, sir, it's Dowling. And he goes, what are you, fucking Chinese or something? But that's not my story, but I told it anyways. It's never made anyone laugh.
I may have laughed, but I can't multitask.
No.
What's going on here? What's going on? Maybe we'll play it.
Maybe we'll just put it at the end of the episode.
I can do that.
The one that I'm writing right now, it's still kind of a concept piece, but I think it's interesting. And I think now that I know you're gay, you might have some thoughts.
Okay, here we go. You want to play the whole song, or you want just to play a little clip of Backed Up?
Let's put that. Just put it at the end.
All right, cool, perfect.
Yeah. But the song I'm writing right now is about. Originally, I wanted to make a song about a DL guy just running train on people, But then I was trying to think about the idea of somebody being DL is somebody who's exploring themselves, and if they're constantly getting with strangers, then they actually are living in a more free, less confined situation because nobody has a preconception of them, so they can live a different life every single night. And I was trying to think of a person who, like most people, if you have a supportive friend group, right, you think that you're set in your ways more than anybody else because you have the affirmation of everybody else, but that person is less likely to change something that they want to change, right? So if you're constantly growing, and hopefully you are, you'll develop different parts about you.
Yep.
But usually your friends will keep you rooted in that person that they know, and they'll treat you the way they think of you. So a person who's DL is actually more free to find themselves than somebody, which to me is contradictory because most people think of a DL guy as sad, hidden, married probably, their life is confined and less free. But I feel like the DL guy that I'm thinking of is actually like getting to go to college every single night. You know, when you're going to college and you're like, nobody knows who I am.
Yep.
I'm going to tell everybody I'm confident. You know,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And they're like, Colton, that guy is so confident.
Right.
They're like, that guy, I've seen him piss his pants. No one says that because they just met him, right?
Yep.
So this idea that this guy is exploring his self through strangers, so interesting to me. You know what I'm saying?
So the next time I go on Grindr, I'm going to go on with one singular purpose. I'm going to take a poll of all the DL guys and ask them, do you feel free?
Well, I'm going to write that down. It's a great lyric.
Write it down.
Let me write that down. I don't know.
Free?
I don't know that it is better being DL, but I'm just saying that they have more access to change. I think that everybody has access to be a different person, and I think that so many people are looking to be. I mean, think about how many fucking self-help books there are. There's a billion self-help books. Everybody's looking for that moment, that excuse to finally be the person they want to be. But this idea that I have is more like, actually, you don't need any of that. You just need to go find one stranger and tell them you are that person. Isn't that weird?
I like this.
Right?
You're working on this one currently?
Uh-huh.
I'll be very curious to listen to this one when it comes out. This is good.
But it's an interesting idea. But this is basically all of my humor. I have all of these ideas and I just shove it in, and then I was getting butt fucked. You know, like I mean, if you listen to any of my jokes, they're all very much like there's a facade of digestible, simple humor that at face value you can just like it for the silliness of it.
Yeah.
But just deconstructing it a little bit, you're like, hey, whoa. That's why he had to say it that way, because otherwise it would have been complex and nobody would have laughed.
Yeah, even just as you were explaining the song, I'm like, that's a lot of information to put in a 3.5 minute tune, especially if you put a little instrumental in there somewhere. It's not a lot of time for words.
But I don't know, but it's not necessarily words, it's a feeling. So, I mean, I think the first two songs I wrote were pretty simple. It was, I'm moving out, let's fuck. That was about Uncle Laser, because he was my ex-roommate, and I was like, maybe before I leave, we should have sex. And he was like, no. And so I was like, don't be weird, guy. Like, just put it in. And so it was like this idea about just like fantasizing about a roommate, and I think that's a pretty common experience of like, what if we did do something?
I fantasized about some roommates.
Right.
Eli Gardner.
I mean, that sounds like an Amish man.
They were religious, but I think they were more Christian leaning. They being his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, a Christian, they, them?
Stop the madness.
Sounds unbearable.
Christian, they, them. That guy's got trials and tribulations coming.
That person is unbearable.
Can I ask you one more question before we wrap this up?
Sure.
Country music. How'd you start down this little trajectory of writing songs and whatnot?
One of my first concerts, I think I was like 4 years old. I went to Garth Brooks. And it was the only music that wasn't Christian that we were allowed to listen to. And then eventually my dad was like breaking the rules and listening to like AC/DC and whatnot.
Yeah.
I always found, I think that if I had parents that were involved at all, I would have actually learned any instrument. But I've tried to play the piano, saxophone. But then my older sister would just beat me up and be like, you suck. And then my dad would be like, you do suck. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fucking learn then. Because that's how learning works, assholes. But I've always been musically inclined. When I started the fashion shows and I was working in that, it was more interesting to me to show a type of person walk out and kind of curate the entire mood that I think hearing a song makes people feel first and then listen second. So the idea that I could like instigate a feeling with a story that is fun to me has always just been an interesting idea. I think that that's what I like about comedy as well, is whether you like or relate to the idea, your body will tell you.
Yeah.
And you think you're in control, but you're not. Your body will laugh before you even like. It's the moment where somebody says something, like your grandma says something to your mom, and you're just like, "Oh fuck, that's so funny." And then you realize, you look at your mom, and you're like, I should have laughed in her face. Like that uncontrollable feeling that makes us so human is so interesting to me, because no matter what book you read, you're still going to be a human being.
Yep.
And that is cool to me.
Yeah.
So I think what I like about the country music angle is that you might not realize you're about to listen to the gayest song you've ever heard. Right? Yeah. But you are, and you're going to like it. And I think that trickery is fun for me. I think the idea that this DL guy, I think, is interesting, because I think that most people would say they don't relate to a DL guy. But I think every single person relates to that feeling of, what if I was a little different, and what if I did something about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. And on that note, I'm going to go get butt fucked.
Good night, everyone. No. Colton, thank you so much for coming here tonight. This was super fun. So grateful to have sat with you for a little bit. Anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover? Do you feel pretty good about this?
I don't remember anything I said.
Me neither.
But hopefully some of it was enjoyable. Hopefully I didn't sound like too big of a fucking idiot. And hopefully you guys follow me on OnlyFans if you want to see my hole. It is...
Shout out whatever you want. I'll put whatever links you want in the show notes.
Hey, if you guys need links, go to my Instagram profile, Colton Dowling, and check out my links.
Excellent. Yeah, I found your OnlyFans. I found your website. I found your podcast. I found your LinkedIn. It's all there.
It's all there.
You just got to click around for a few minutes.
Stop clicking on my LinkedIn. That shit needs to fucking die.
That was only me. I'm probably the only person that was like, oh, Colton, we should look up his LinkedIn to prepare for this podcast. But
yeah, no, I actually am going to go home and delete my LinkedIn. Why it exists still, I do not know.
That is my gift to you tonight. I reminded you that your LinkedIn profile is active and full of memories that you wish the world did not have access to.
It is probably still attached to my college email.
Probably. Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Well, Colton, thank you so much for being here. For the audience, thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. We are going to play Colton's song to play us out instead of the normal music. And this song, which can be found on Spotify, once again, is called Bucked Up. So if you like it, Backed Up. Backed Up. I'm sorry, not Bucked Up.
Yeah.
Shame on me. Shame. All right, guys, here we go. Enjoy the song. We'll see you next week.
I'm staring across the gym, imagining him putting it in. Or maybe I'm at a coffee shop. Choke me with your apron, don't stop. Freak nasty with a stranger. Take my insides, rearrange her. I'm out here looking, and I'm backed up. I'm backed up. Crew socks, jock straps, fitted tank, kinda stank. Feeling dirty, something small or big. Looking for a pig, dared on a devil's fig. Out here prowling, primal as sin. Found a Christian man at the Holiday Inn. Didn't tell his wife, but we both told God. Oh God, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. let's just say, when I'm backed up, black eyes, searching for a fix, more the merrier in the mix. Blank profile, no need to turn the dial, headed over soon, hoping to tune me up. Alleyway, flower shop, bathroom stall, truck stop, steam room, anywhere dirty. I'm the dumpster, your dive. Give it head while you are driving. Free nasty with a stranger. Take my insides, rearrange her. I'm out here looking. Free nasty with a stranger. Take my insides, rearrange her. And I'm backed up, back up, backed up.
One of the gals I made in the kitchen, I want those spaghetti, that ain't no bitchin'. I've been a good Wayne man, come be in my pink ring man. I'm moving out, don't be weird, guy, put it in. I want you in the red jeans, bumpin' boots, fuck me loose. Don't matter where, just make it soon. Hoping to strike or at least feel an explosion. Hoping to take a gamble